have to excuse me. I am filling and filling. So, right, let's get the show on the road. Or rather, get this show on the boat. Right, so let's see if I can try and recall what I did a week ago. We got a house. We got a house in Fallen London. We did a lap of the kind of north and east of the map. So we explored, what was it, Irem, the Cholonate, or whatever you want to call it, the Empire of Hands, the Nativity. Yeah, we did quite a run. We did Nuncio and Pigmo Isle. No, we didn't do Nuncio. Oh, spoilers. But no, so we're back in London, and looking at my list, we've got a few jobs for tonight's session. I'm hoping to hopefully tick them all off, but we'll see how it goes. We have to go south to Port Carnelian to start the quest to get a submarine, or to turn our ship into a submarine. We have to go up to Venderblight to talk about a chef. There's a chef that we can talk about, or rather get. We have to go to Polythreme for the Admiral, as well as getting a Clayman for our engineer. And we also need to go to Gator's Morn for the Sinister Bruiser fella, who gave us 1,000 echoes, and we are not to spend that on anything except human souls. Gator's Morn, fairly easy, it's quite close. The others, well, we'll see how it goes. So just have a quick look at my hold to make sure it saved the progress from last time, all the things I bought. Yep, 22 fuel, 15. We've got the Shady Sort who wants to go to Venderblight, that's the reason. She wants to go to Corsair's Forest, apparently. Okay. We've got the Delightful Adventuress who wants to go to the Empire of Hands. We've got 15 secrets. 2 outlandish artifacts. Okay. Will. Still got our beginner's luck. Hunter's Eye. A restaurant recommendation. The colours of the Neath bow. And that's about it. So yeah, we're gonna have a quick look at the map and see what we need to be doing. So Gator's Morn is just that works perfectly. We can go up to Venderblight, across the Gator's Morn, and then we'll start heading south past the Salt Lions, past Demute Island, and we'll explore what is going on in this dark corner of the map. As you can see, we have done effectively 2 loops. The first one up to Teneb in the Avid Horizon and back, and then the second one we went all the way out to Irem, and then down to the Cholonate and back round. So Gator's Morn, we got a couple of things. Venderblight, we got a couple of things. It's all looking good. Let's sail away, as Enya would say. go through this little black patch and hopefully discover that. We can pop into Hunter's Keep, I guess. I don't think I've got any news for the sisters, but we can have a poke and get a port report, I guess. A hump of dark rock swathed in mist, like 100 other undersea islands. Do we have some news? Do we have some news? Okay, let's go. First, we're going to reconnoitre the island. Plunging cliffs, soft green lawns, well tucked away in the fold of grounds. Anything else? The sea's silence. Ships rarely come ashore. Rarely come here, rather. Nothing changes, even the weather. The house is the heart of the isle, the house and its sisters. But the Admiralty may be happy to know that nothing's changed at least. So that gets us a port report, and if you remember, port reports will get us a little bit of fuel, a little bit of echoes, and some favour with the Admiralty. So it's always good to pop in and get a port report if you can, anywhere you go basically, or anywhere you pass. So let's go see the sisters. Even when the sisters aren't feeling sociable, they can be tempted out of their lair by the smell of new stories. Knock in wait. You ask the sulphur-eyed maid to carry a few hints of your news to the sisters. Oddly enough, she comes back with a message that their headaches are cured, and you're invited to lunch. So, who are we going to have dinner with again? Cynthia, Lucy, or Phoebe? I don't think we did Phoebe last time, so Phoebe is soft-voiced, watchful, and unpredictable. Here's a story. Phoebe has a story to tell, of two lovers parted by water, of a raven that carried messages, of a fragment of the moon. She beats time on the table as she speaks, as if a song only she can hear. The effect is hypnotic. Your attention drifts out through the skylight of the dining room to the false stars glittering in the roof of the cavern. You drift like puffball spore. The undersea shimmers below. Islands lie like mineral specimens on black velvet. Ships bob like wood chips between the islands. Vast spined things pulse in the depths. There is a scent like the scent before a storm. The storm came, says Phoebe quietly. Everything changed. Somewhere in there, you finished the last course. The scowling maid reluctantly serves cheese in Bath Oliver biscuits. So that gets us a memory of distant shores. We've gained one supply, we've lost some hunger, we've lost some terror, we've gained a fragment. Something has changed with the sisters, and we now have the god of the sea Storm's attention. Now if you don't remember, there is three gods of the sea: salt, storm and stone. Don't really want to be in the attention of any of them, to be honest. It's bad. It's quite bad. But with that, we have our business finished, because we are yet to get the Claymen for London. We need another distant shore memory, we need a tale of terror, and a Z story before we can do our tireless mechanics mission. So we will head out to Vanderbilt. And again, those unfamiliar with the kind of background lore of this game, London has been kind of bartered in a deal with devils. Oh, we got a steam pinnace on the way. He's only 30, we can take him. The ship is yours. What will you do with her? Loot and scuttle her. She's a vile old vessel, and those Z's aren't safe. Take what you can and move on. These pinnaces don't sail far from their hidden harbours, but there's something at the back of the hold. stout crate. Crates, the source of sustenance, the fundamental element of cargo. So that's gained us one more fuel, which puts us over limit, so we're going to have to dump it. She won't let us dump her. And she won't let us dump her. So we gained a fuel at least. We're doing good for fuel. But as I was saying, London fell in a deal with the devils and is now in a vast underground cavern. It is not the first city to fall, it is the 5th city. We will get hints at the other cities. Let's see if you can guess what they are. They're all historical cities, by the way. But no, let's get to Venderblight and ask about, I guess. I wonder if the Shady Sort wants to go to Venderblight or she wants to go straight to Gator's Morn, but I'm hoping both. Few die and fall in London, they come here instead. The tomb colony of Venderblight. Visit a certain little restaurant. Fine cuisine in Venderblight. Now that would be something. A corkscrewed street. At the twisty tip of an odd little side street, welcoming yellow light glows from the gilt-littered windows of a restaurant. A sign reads, "Vengeance of Jonah." A beefy tomb colonist bustles up. A grey moustache pokes impertinently out from under his bandages. "Come in, come in." A bandaged poisoneer at Venderblight seeks passage with a sea captain sympathetic to intrepid cuisine. So that's lost us a little bit of terror, and we've found the Vengeance of Jonah. It's a cramped little place, but much better lit than most places in the tomb colonies. The scents of the dishes are multitudinous and extraordinary. Are they good? They might be. They might be good. It's difficult to tell. So we can not sample today's special. We cannot offer a strange catch because we do not have one. We can, however, recruit the bandaged poisoneer. The bandaged poisoneer has long wished to travel, but you'll need to outfit the galley to his exacting standards. So that will cost us 300 echoes. So that will take away most of the echoes we have spare. We'll have 100 and change. But I think we're going to go for it. We're going to pick up the chef. The bandaged poisoneer has long wished to travel, but... Oh, I've already read that bit. Avid enthusiasm. Ah, my captain, the things we will catch, that we will consume, that we will experience. We will discover the 7th sensation, you and I. The taste that one tastes with the heart. You there, sailor, careful with the braising alembic. It's worth more than your wretched soul. So that's cost us 300 echoes, and we now have a chef. So if we just pop along to our cook slot, is empty. We have a gunnery offer in the form of the Presbyteria adventuress. So we're going to assign her to the gunnery seat, and we're also going to assign the cook to, there we go. So we've got a full crew now. We've got the haunted sigil-ridden navigator, we've got the tireless mechanic, the Presbyteria adventuress, the haunted doctor, and the bandaged poisoneer as a cook. We've also got a spare chief engineer in Maybe's daughter, and a eyeless skull for a mascot, which I'm not going to use because it frankly creeps me the fuck out. You just have to excuse me, I'm just finishing my cigarette. Terrible habit, do not pick it up, but I've had a hell of a week and would quite like a cigarette. So we can provide what we have promised, which is the Shady Sort, which we picked up in the Mangrove College. The tomb colonists of Venderblight have few pleasures remaining. Their new home is an echoing palace of rare dust. Perhaps you can help a little. So we can reassure the shady sort, or we can tell the shady sort the truth. We can tell her that no one enters Vanderblight as a colonist unless they pass the skin check. Tell her that he has much changed and for the worst. Or we can reassure her that whoever she's here to meet, despite the fact that now a rotting ghoul, they might still be okay. I'm going to reassure her because I'm a simp. The shady sort turns to you. I didn't ask. How much? How much has he changed? Is it very bad beneath the bandages? Perhaps you can reassure her. More tact than truth. Her fingers clench the rail. Good, she says. Good. She doesn't speak again until she's on shore, in his arms. He pays you in echoes, she in pages from her journal. So we lost the shady sort. We've brought an absent friend to Vanderblight, and we're tactful. Gained 400 echoes, so that covers the cost of the chef. And we've got 20 fragments. Lovely stuff. So whilst we're here, I can also show you the Leclutia class steam yacht. It's a vessel for diplomats, merchants, and wealthy spies. But you can't buy it. You need the deeds. How do you get the deeds? Well, it has something to do with the Neathbow quest we picked up in episode 1. So we're not able to get that yet, but that is a very nice boat. You can have a look at the details there. Hull 250, hold capacity 70, quarters 20, mirrors, veils, hearts, and pages bonuses of 10. It has the same slots as our current boat, but pretty much everything else has improved apart from weight. But we are not here for that. We are now going to go to Gator's Morn. So I can cross Vanderblight off our list for now. Oh, and we've got some bats to kill. So we just quickly reverse so they don't ram us. Yep, they rammed us. 5 damage. Oh, that's some dead bats. So we just run over their remains and pick it up. Little leathery corpses lie scattered across your deck. The rest of the swarm vanishes into the neathly dark. We're going to gather up their corpses. They are succulent with the stolen blood into the pot. Those little bones are troublesome and the flesh a little gamey, but salt them well enough and they're quite edible. We've gained 1 supply and a little bit of terror, but we're only at 4, so we're doing okay. So we will head on over to Gator's Morn. And like I said, I'm going to cross off Vanderblight. Good to get rid of that. And we will continue on our way. Oh, he's a bad boy. Light off, stealth mode. Oh, he's seeing me. He's seeing me. And there's a crab over to our left as well. It's only a little wee crab, not one of the big ones you need to worry about. Hopefully when I go around this rock he should lose sight of me and get disinterested. Stats now, yeah, we're starting to get up from the base standard of 25 in each stat. Looking at a nice little increase on all my stats because I'm fully crewed. And here we go to Gator's Morn. The Morn is a stalagmite, vast as a crag, and its foot has no safe harbours. The Corsair's citadel nestles halfway up. An intricate system of winches takes the strain, and your ship rises slowly from the sea. Her hull creaks in protest. Grizzled sailors groan and cling to stanchions. Higher, higher, now the undersea shimmers like glass below. Children clamouring in crevices cheer and wave alarmingly. The winch motor slows, and you hang in a cradle next to a red-bowed pirate cutter. So we are going to meet a shivering corsair with a package. Oh god, they're cold. Take them from me. Take them. Where's my money? Don't you cheat me. Take them, but I want my money. A sigh of relief. Oh, I feel it lifting. It's gone from me. You never saw me. So we now have a unstamped crate of brilliant souls and 1,000 echoes. We lost 1,000 echoes, but it wasn't ours, to be fair. We can attempt to get a intelligence, but it's a very chancy challenge, so I'm going to leave the port report for now. Just a bit too much trouble than it's worth. Fortunately, we can't do a quick salt lines run because it's just not enough room in our cargo, which is a shame. So we will actually head kind of this direction and get some of that black covered. Again, you see these kind of circles of light. When you're in those circles of light, then you won't lose so much sanity, or you won't gain terror. So you can kind of hop from light to light, and oh, he's curious, but he didn't turn. He's just a curious little guy. He's just a curious little guy. There we go. So we'll just cut down past Crab Cake. And to be honest, we kind of just want to go straight down. Some kind of island over here. We have got labyrinth, it looks like. And a big boy crab. Appropriate. Next to Crab Cake. Jellyfleur, which I don't want to fight, but he's probably going to come after me, so we'll see. Is he coming? Yeah, that boy. Oh, he coming. He's not going to have enough speed to keep up with us, though. We should be right. Boy. Oh dear, light off. Come on, mate, come on. Oh, 4 damage, not too bad, but I'm not looking for a rumble today. We can get to Demur Island and dock. He he will lose interest in us, so we just got to keep out of his line of sight. There we go, mate. You don't want to come this way. You're not interested in me. There's nothing interesting about me. Iron and Misery Company Funging Station. So we can have tea with the factor. We can compile a port report. Of course, I&M's activities here don't seem that interesting. Nonetheless, record what you can. We can have tea with the factor. An interlude. You sit on the veranda of the factor's house, looking out over the fungal jungle. An expanse of green and sour gold. The air is thick with hovering spores. The scones are stale. Even the tea has a hint of mildew. But the factor is good company. He shares odd stories about the Gant Pole where monsters swarm, about the seductions of the principles of coral, or of the infestation at Featherhaven. He also has a load of Boleus frond carted aboard the ship. He waves away your thanks. I've eaten so much of the stuff I fear I might be transformed entirely into fungus. He leans confidentially towards you. It happens, you know, but one does have to eat rather a lot of it first. So that gets us down a little bit on the terror, gain one supplies and a little bit of fragments. So it's always good to have dinner with the factor. We're not going to buy any supplies here, instead we're just going to keep on heading south into the unknown. Past the Foschine Bleaks. Once I'm gonna pronounce something right in this game, but this stream is not gonna be it. See what we can scout with our little bat boy. Fathom King's Hold. Sounds serious. Promised Sea. All through this place, the song of the drownies lies the shivering sweet along the wind. We've discovered the Fathom King's Hold. Lorkin's Port, named for that most enterprising of companies. Phosphor cells burn green, somewhere below the king waits. Like an iceberg, like a master bazaar's scheme, like the Neath itself, most of the hold is invisible. You see only a tiny portion of sculpted coral, the rest waits below the surface. The Fathom King's bone rooms and aquaria, his pearl snares and dining chambers. So what can we do here? We can't descend to an audience with the Fathom King. I don't have a story to tell him. I could permit shore leave. I could trade for drowning pearls if I had any scintillant, but I do not. I could trade for a white molly flower, but I don't have a scintillant. Or we can compile a port report. The porter watches you write. She says nothing. Others who come and go, those granted audience return dazed, awestruck. The king is not generous, but occasionally he is fair. And that gets us a port report. Again, no shops, no shipyard, just the king. So we'll be back to investigate that when we have some sea stories, I guess. But for now, we're going to keep on heading south. Oh, there's sight moving there. Oh, lawn fluke, 600 points. No, thank you. He might have seen me. I didn't want him to see me. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Got to burn some of our supplies, but it did fix our hull, so worth it? We'll see. But for now, further south than we have ever gone before. We are heading into Uncharted Sea territory, or Z territory. A little heavy with the Z's. Rainier's Vortex. There's something underwater to the east. Ooh. Just gonna have to thread the needle. Music down a wee bit so it's easier to hear me. Ooh, and what have we got here? Well, if it isn't Port Carnelian, it's almost as if I knew it was here. Because again, everything on the kind of outer rim of the map, these three sides is static. It won't change between lives. Everything in the sea, or the kind of the you know, the interior of the map, that is likely to change every time I die. So it's an incentive not to die, because you have to refine everything. Port Carnelian, fallen London's sole imperial possession. Treasure it. So we are going to meet the fierce philanthropist. Our house is built in the tall porticoed London style. Red brick and white plaster. Decorative iron railings painted black. Its mistress is the subject of intense colonial gossip. Independently wealthy, an industrialist's daughter, a widow, unwelcome in London. What then does she want with you? An invitation arrived as soon as you docked. It wouldn't have... Well, I'm going to accept her invitation. It wouldn't hurt to have the backing of a wealthy benefactor. You expected a sensible gathering, but it's just you, her, and a decanter of admirable sherry. She is not a small woman, and comprehensively occupies her armchair. She wears sensible satins and sensible shoes. Her hair is impeccably curled. I've heard a number of shocking things about you, Captain, all of which I consider thoroughly promising. Her accent has a hint of Midlands melancholy to it. She must have spent much of her life on the surface. For a time she asks questions about your travels and listens avidly to your answers. Then she gets down to business. A question, Captain. She tops up her sherry. Some years ago, the nations of the Neath struck an agreement to abandon their research into submarine travel and leave the Z's depths untouched. Ah, the agreement about nothing of consequence. Sailors mutter about it when listing the Admiralty's follies. You nod. She raises her glasses to her lips. And what is your opinion of this agreement, she asks. So we can say we're fans of it, in which case we won't get the submarine quest, or we can scoff about it. It's a nonsense. Nowhere should be forbidden to the capable explorer. A new friend. Her smile is conspiratorial. Then we can help each other. I am prepared to finance, in large part, improvements to your ship that will make it capable of submarine travel. The Admiralty and other powers disapprove of such innovation. Therefore we will need to be discreet. I have procured experts, labourers, and a workshop. They are well paid and loyal. Here is the address. Meet us there, and we can begin our work. The fierce philanthropist will help you convert your ship into a submarine at her hidden workshop. The hidden workshop. On the shore of a gloomy inlet stands a rickety factory. Once, and supposedly still, it was committed to the cutting and polishing of sapphires. Now it is the place where the fierce philanthropist houses her intrepid staff of engineers, the ingenious men and women who will convert your ship into a submarine. Phase 1. Contribute nautical know-how. Some contribute ingenuity, others graft. when you what you contribute is hard-won. Wow, my brain is just fudged today. What you contribute is hard-won, hands-on experience of the Z itself. So we can do that once we get 3 C stories, which we're really running up against the lack of Z stories, aren't we? But we'll see what the other options are. Phase 1, provide additional funding. Specifically, apply bribes that the philanthropist cannot be associated with. So we can spend 75 echoes to increase our experimental modifications by 25. We can donate a mysterious device. Heretofore, its purpose was mysterious, but the chief engineer insists it's precisely what they need. So we can give away one of our outlandish artifacts. We can do Stygian ivory. It's as dark as the belly of the sea, and correctly treated, harder than iron. Or we can't do that one because we don't have extraordinary implication. We need to get some sonar schematics. So we're going to throw down some money for phase 1. Midnight agents. Behind the Blue Bazaar by night, a gang of cravatted criminals assemble. For a sum of echoes, they will appropriate a crate of necessary materials for you. They ask no questions, and the crate is delivered to the workshop by morning. So we now have 25 experimental modifications at the cost of 75 echo. Bargain. And we will give one of our outlandish artifacts, which will increase it by 60. Lessons of the past. Within the hour, they've stripped it down, flensed it of everything they can learn, and incorporated their discoveries into modifications to your ship. Progress, the chief engineer claims. Now, T. That loses us an outlandish artifact, but that gets us up to 85 experimental modifications. Now, we want to get up to 99, I believe. So, we could, in fact, will pay another 75. Greasing the wheel. You make a deposit into a blandly named account, and a certain port official turns a blind eye to the incoming cargo of vital but dangerous supplies. So that takes another 75 echoes off of us, but that takes us up to 110 experimental. So that takes us on to phase 2, where we can go and get a set of sonar schematics. The engineers have reached an impasse. It's the sonar. It's unreliable, loud, and stops working below 70 fathoms. But the Admiralty and the Khanate must have cracked this back in the day. The engineers brim with conspiracy theories about the old submarine programs. Before the agreement about nothing of consequence, London's Admiralty conducted their submarine research at Station 3. The location of the Khanate's research base is unknown, but a number of its scientists relocated to Khan's shadow. Perhaps one of those locations has information you could use. So we've got either got to Station 3 or Khan's shadow. Now we haven't went to either of those yet, so we will have to try and find them. So we are going to put on the little shopping list. We want Station 3 or Khan's shadow for the next stage in the sub. Alright. Now we're done with the submariner stuff, we can actually explore the port of Port Carnelian. It's an interesting little place. And I'm about to tell you all about it. Are you ready, children? Port Carnelian. London's first undersea colony sweats under a blanket of southern heat. To the right of the dock, the sapphire mines yawn. To the left, the governor's house stands, prim as the Elderwick mansion. Behind lies the fungal jungle, ghostly in white and violet. So we have an option to assist a specialised collector, which we cannot do because we do not have a submarine yet. We can visit Murgatroyd's Imperial Tea Shop for 20 echoes to reduce some of our terror. We can call at Heart's Cross House, where the governor administers this distant fleck of Her Majesty's Empire. So we're going to pop into there and say hello to the governor. A port report. The governor is very, very busy. An attaché offers you a bowl of sugared puffballs and explains the work the governor does among the natives. Got to keep them happy. What? After all, they are tigers. And that gets us a port report. We can pan for sapphires in the fungal jungle, which is a high-risk challenge, so I ain't trying that. We can influence affairs in Port Carnelian, but we don't have enough networks, whatever that means. We can insinuate an agent into Port Carnelian, which we can't do because we don't have a diplomatic agent. And that's about it. We can only do those. Now there is a ship here which you can't get, which is always kind of chapped my arse a little, but basically they were going to do extra DLC for this version of the console version of Sunless Sea. They never did. It never got finished. So this is just completely impossible to get. It's a shame. But here we can buy some fuel, we can buy some supplies, and we can also buy sapphires and dark drop beans. Now if you remember, Iram wanted us to have a sack of dark drop coffee beans before we could go inside. So I'm going to pick up one sack, and then I am also going to pick up a shit ton of fuel. Takes up to 20 and back up to 15 full supplies. And that's about all we can do in Port Carnelian now, but we got the submarine mission. That's what we came here for. So we're going to move on, and we're going to explore this corner of the map. This little dark space. I know you're thinking, what's along here? Death, mainly. And that is a long run to Iram, but actually, no. We're going to leave this little corner of the map because we need Station 3 or Khan's Heart. We need Polythreme. And we need Iram, which I will also add to the list. Iram. So instead of crawling along this coast back towards London, to the left or to the west, we are going to go east along the southern coast. We're going to explore what is along the southern coast of the Neath of the Untersea. That was just a button press because I'm a big fat-handed twat. But off we go. Now I'm not lying, it's a very dangerous route. So we are going to be hugging the coast. But that will give us some things to explore, some things to look at. And yes, that is a bunch of what looks like blue parrots. Those blue parrots will fuck me up like Percocet though, so I am staying well away from them. But you can see the fungal forest below us, and this is the southern coast of the Neath, and away we chug along. As you can see, I'm just going to come across here. Discovered Booble's Thicket. too close for my liking. As we enter the Crying Heights. And Andromeda's Rocks. Becker's Blight. Can we go down this way, or is it a dead end? I think this might be a dead end. Yeah, that is a dead end. So we're just going to quickly go lights off whilst we round this cape. Much as I want to discover that. I don't want to... Oh no. Oh no, I think this is me. Rubench Grotto. Now, similar to the north of the map, the south of the map has wax rain or wax storms, which will slow down your ship and generally make it harder for you to move. But we've discovered Apis meat and the settlement of Are you excited? Adam's Way. Oh, just bumping into things. Adam's Way. On a bed of monumental ruins, warehouses and way stations of On a bed of monumental ruins, warehouses and way stations of shroom timber rise. All ships that approach Adam's Way are intercepted by the gracious, the Presbyteriate splendidly headdressed coast guards. A quaint but inviolate tradition governs entry. You must tell them one of 3 stories. In return, you will be permitted to spend a single day in the port. And we don't have anything to tell them. So we don't have any recent news, because we use that with the sisters. We don't have an unread log or a port report from Mount Palmerston. Why are foreigners only allowed to spend a single day in Adam's Way? For your own protection, one of them explains kindly. The soil of the elder continent is dangerous to incomers, they claim. Those who linger can contract unfortunate conditions, hysteria, rapture, anemescence, and the rumours that the Presbyteriate law offers no protection to foreigners after dark aren't nonsense. So not much we can do here, although they do have a shop. We can buy fuel, we can buy supplies, foxfire candles, some beans. We can also sell some parabola linen, some mushroom wine if we had it, or a shrine to stone, which we don't have. Excuse me. But again, not much we can do here. We don't have the parts. But if we come back here next time, straight from London, excuse me, I am very gassy today, then obviously we will be able to do something. But for now, we're going to head on and keep heading east along the coast to see what next awaits us. But this is the mouth of Adam's Way. This is a river, this is a canal, I'm not sure what you want to call it, but it heads on into the coast, into the interior of the continent that lies to the south. As you can see, the water turns blood red and is generally not healthy, so we are not going to keep going along that. We're just going to leave that guy for now, that little buddy. Watch as I bang into things like an idiot. But we're going to keep on going, keep on keeping on. See what next awaits us. As you can see, we have gone along the southern coast here, and then we are just going to boost it straight up here through this big patch of blackness, in the hopes that maybe, just maybe, we might find some of the locations we need. But as you can see, this is very much my kind of game, because it's chill, it's low key, it's all about world building and lore. It feeds you little nuggets of information. You have to kind of piece together exactly what the fuck is going on. I dig it. I really, really dig it. And I hope you do too. There is a sequel to this game called Sunless Skies, which is available also on PS4 and the PC, as well as basically everything else. This is now available on everything, including Switch. So if you're liking the look of this game, you can play this on the bus. We approach Varchas, the mirrored city. So let's see what the deal is with the mirrored city and the port of Erdonemes. Erdonemes. Varchas, the mirrored city where light was always the law. The burning white light of Varchas. The walled city of Varchas is a tangle of green vines and luminescent fungal flowers, slow blooming around mouldering stone. A quincunx of carved stepped towers rise over the walls and pour burning white light into the bleak sky. A rough, shadowed path leads from the docks to the mirrored gates of Varchas. Two towering carved stone lamps throw their light on the angled mirrors, and the blue-cloaked guard stands in the reflected pool of light. The city is a beacon against the tree-hushed, sprawling darkness of the Elder Continent. In the far distance, a vast mountain glimmers. So we've got a few options here. We can choke on the smell. It is overpowering sweet. It comes from the fungus growing wild all over the city stones. The flowers have white waxy leaves which leave powdery traces on your fingers. The light coming from the city has the same camphorous quality. And the smell, perfume worn too many days on the body, unread books left to turn to ink-stained pulp, a garden drowned in rotting and still water. The sailors wave you over. They are sitting on some unturned crates on the docks, playing a game with mirrored chips and stylized snakes made of bone. You not think of going in there, the sailors gawk at you in unconcealed horror. They take turns telling you gruesome stories of Varchas, which are no doubt invented whole cloth. Some are convinced that the Varchisi can render sailors into tallow to light their city. Others say they steal shadows and sell them to their masters. All of them are convinced that they blind any strangers who dare to gaze too long upon their city streets. We were just waiting to be paid and then we're off, says one of the sailors, nervously fingering a mirror chip. I've only got one eye left and I'd like to keep it. We can ask a guard a few questions. Never a bad idea to gather a little intelligence before heading into unknown waters, or cities as the case may be. The blue-cloaked guard only acknowledges your existence when you step out of the darkness and into the path and into the light of the lamp. The guard stands in the middle of the pool of light, looking warily at the darkness beyond you. Up close, the guard's blue cloak is threadbare and mossy among the hem. A pattern of embroidered suns runs along the collar, but the gold thread is dull. The kohl around her eyes is smudged. Well, Tomas, she asks, are you going to ask your questions, or are you just going to stare? Her tone is brisk, but her expression is curiously eager. You do not think Varchas receives many visitors. My name's not Tomas, you correct her politely. The guard looks scandalized and tries to stop her ears. All those who are not Varchisi are Tomas. You have been touched by darkness, and it has taken your name. She fixes you with an admonishing look, and adds, it is very ill-mannered to pretend you still have one. You begin to see, a little, why Varchas is not often visited. It looks like you will have to get used to being called Tomas if you wish to enter. Ask about the light. It all seems a bit wasteful, possibly even ostentatious. We must always walk in Muhir's light, so we burn our lamps bright, night and day, to banish darkness from the mirrored city, she tells you proudly. If we let darkness corrupt us, we would not be Varchisi anymore, but Tomas, like you. You wonder, is that so terrible a fate? Her mocking laugh answers you even before her words do. Yes, it would be terrible indeed, Tomas. And before you ask, she adds, no, I do not have any desire to leave Varchas. The rest of Neath has fallen from Muhir's grace, and I have no wish to join them. Ask about her. Her job. Does she like her job? Does anyone? It is a great honour to guard the mirrored gates, she snaps defensively. She gestures to the edge of the pool of light illuminating her post. It is very dangerous. Even a small stumble and I could fall into the dark. Her voice goes thready. I would be banished from Muhir's grace. I would lose my name. That is why they only send the bravest outside the walls. We can ask about the city's customs. Best to know before you flout them. Easier to plan an escape route that way. Don't touch the mirrors. Don't even look into the mirrors, she says, her voice hard, and try very hard not to dream. Were you expecting something along the lines of don't murder anyone, or only wear red on special occasions? Still, you nod and smile. You have no more questions. You are satisfied, or perhaps the guard's voice is beginning to grate a little. She looks a little disappointed, but does not try to engage you further. We can compile a port report the Admiralty would like to know. The mirrored city and its glories. Tone down the details of the light and its brilliance. You don't want to inspire envy in the Admiralty staff. And we can try to enter. Well, what else are gates for, if not to go through? She makes a mark in her ledger before ringing a brass bell. The mirrors of the gates rearrange to give you space to pass, but never once allow shadow to touch the guard. Our ways are not yours, Tomas. Remember that, and walk in the light of Muhir. Inside the city walls, your eyes are blinded by the brilliance of the light. The verdant rot smell is even thicker. The heat of so much flame and reflective light presses oppressively against your skin. Your head pounds. It is a few minutes before your eyes adjust, and you can look around. Brass lamps and gilded sconces hung from every wall, and phosphorant fungus grows moss-like upon doorways and ceilings. Cunningly arranged mirrors catch every droplet of light and diffuse it till each cobblestone and rampart of the city is drenched and blazing and utterly without shadow. Who do you speak to? So we have the firekeeper, dressed all in saffron. A pair of thick, fireproof gloves dangle from a silver chain at her waist. We have the white-cloaked guard, who the suns embroidered on his cloak are picked out with gold thread, and the edge is jewelled with carnelian. We have the fungus carter. Her cart is piled high with fungal blooms in jars of algae, painstakingly scraped from the surfaces of walls. Ugh, that was bad. We have the jewel-turbaned youth. He is winking at you. That a furtive wink or a flirtatious wink? Only one way to find out. Or we can continue our explorations and venture further than the outer district. So let's see what's going on deeper in. The mirrored city gleams invitingly. You'll get used to the smell in time. The centre of Varchas. You walk galleried courtyards wreathed in vines and fungal blooms. Long straight roadways crisscross the length and breadth of Varchas, the stone worn by the wheels of carts and the tread of thousands of slippered feet. Lamplighters constantly check the fuel levels of the sconces and replace the wicks. Firekeepers check the coiled spring mechanisms that control the angle of the mirrors. There is so much to explore. Where will you go next? So we have entertainment in Varchas. There are bars and gaming houses to the west. The hospital, the guardhouse, the temple of Muhir, the inn, and the pilgrimage to Aramadri. Aramaradri. It's a lot of hard words. But I'm gonna investigate the temple of Muhir. I'm interested in this Muhir. Praise be to Muhir. The sound of the bells grow louder and more reverberant as you approach. The temple of Muhir. The temple tower pierces through the city's heart, taller than the other 4 towers which stand at each of the cardinal points. Around the temple sprawls the sacred district. Vine-covered stone shrines, steel ponds glowing with algae, and flash-finned carp. Priests in white, their wrists heavy with metal chains. There aren't... Oh, I'm looking up. Just getting a drink of water quickly. Bloody hell. There are no mirrors in the Temple of Muhir. The rest of the city has to make do with mirrored light and reflection. But Muhir's most sacred space is filled with hundreds of lamps and lit candles of hard-packed phosphorant fungus. We can listen to the mantras. In Varchas the sun still shines, calls the sun priest in the way of an invocation. The assembled temple-goers raise their voices in well-worn reply. In Varchas the sun still shines. The sun priest pitches her voice so it echoes off the fire-warmed stones of the temple and reverberates through the tower. Muhir looked away from us, and Varchas fell, she intones. Now we light our city like a beacon, so Muhir may find us once more. So we lost some terror, but we gained a memory of distant shores. And the first tower bell has sounded. Varchas has 5 mirrored towers. When each has sounded its bell, it is evening. So there's bas-reliefs. Every surface of the temple is carved and worked. If you peer closer, the bas-reliefs depict Varchas' fall into the Neath. We've got a 40% chance of doing that with our pages, so I'm going to leave that for now. Dreams of Smoke, which we do not have the ability to do. And the Agni Hot Tree, which is a very chancy challenge, so we can't do that one either. The Sun Seers, we don't have a Scintillac. The Blue Scintillac, we don't have that. The Shrine of Muhir, we don't have a Lamentable Relic. But we're done here for now. We haven't got any of the requirements, so we're going to go back into the city centre. Let's see what entertainment they have in Varchas. Why not? Follow the clink of wine glasses and the companionable shouts. There are many available. Muhir is not a Puritan god. The nicer establishments in the city are lit with expensive imported gas and have little blue glowing Scintillac statuettes scattered on the shelves. What takes your fancy? So we could join a gaming table, which would be a tough challenge at 31%. We could interfere in some arguing priests, which we only have a 40% chance of. Or some duelists, which is a 39% chance. Not looking good, so I'm gonna have to back out from the entertainment district. Let's see what's going on at the hospital. Are you feeling a little fevered? Do you hope to learn medical secrets? Or perhaps you just enjoy the moans and flushed faces of the sick and suffering? The Charitable Hospital is a long, galleried building divided into a series of curtained wards, each with their own light sources and mirror series. A dour-faced nurse glances at you expectantly. Which ward are you here to visit? So we can go to the fungal infection ward, the mirrorless room, the open ward. So let's go to the open ward. You see patients sprawled on their beds, playing card games and chatting to visitors. Most of them have minor injuries. Most of these wounds happened outside the city, on hunting expeditions or trade missions, the dour-faced nurse explained severely, raising her voice, which is why most of these malingerers are guards. The patient nearest to her pretends to swoon. But what would I do, away from your gentle, tender gaze, O fair nurse? He clasps his hands to his bosom. Surely I would wither and perish. We'll see who withers when I give you your sponge bath, she retorts, and her patient draws up his blankets meekly, though though his mouth still curves up in a smile. So he's into it. He's into it. I can spot my own. So that's gained us a fragment. Lost a little bit of terror, and the second tower bell has sounded. Now we can offer our services, but we don't really have the skills. We can't offer the services of those two. We can mention the mirrorless room. The ward is locked several times over, and the dour-faced nurse looks uncomfortable when you mention it. That is where we keep the mirror mad, she says with a shudder. The mirrors whispered to them, and instead of going to the sun priests, they whispered back. And you just abandon them in a locked room? We don't despise them. They're given food and water. Tending the mirror mad uses up as much fuel as Muhir's temple, because they can only be lit with direct lamplight. We don't dare let them near any mirrors. She shudders again. The mirror mad are worse than Tamas. They no longer serve Muhir, but other powers. Those that speak in dreams and visions. She refuses to say anything else. So we got a little bit spooked, and the third tower bell has sounded. Fuck it, why not? Well, let's go to the fungal infections ward. They keep it cool and closed off. The doctors and nurses all wear masks when they enter. How bad can a fungal infection be? The dour-faced nurse ties a mask around your face before leading you into the ward, which is set over 2 floors. The first thing you notice are the patient's constant, racking coughs. We give them syrups and remedies, the nurse tells you, but lung bloom is a chronic condition. Coughing is the only symptom in the milder cases, but as you walk further in, you begin to see hands and feet covered in mould, and then chests budding with little mushroom cups, and lichen, and even a young girl with a fringed red-orange fungal flower blooming in place of an eye. It's the fungus harvester's disease, the dour-faced nurse tells you sadly, pulling you away. It only gets worse in the heat and light, but what can we do? So the 4th tower bell has sounded. We've gained a terror, a fragment, and a tale of terror. And that's basically us done with the hospital for now. So we're going to leave and we'll check out the guardhouse. Down a side street, you can see a sun-emblazoned flag from here. Just follow the stream of white cloaks. A modest stone building with bas-relief intels and wide unshuttered windows. The stylized sun of Muhir flutters from a silk flag above the portico. It is a scene of controlled chaos. You can see the white-cloaked guards bustling to and fro within, shouting companionably to each other whilst a stream of fungus carters, merchants, and ordinary citizens petition them. What is going on? Is it a particularly busy day, or are they always so besieged? We are preparing... We are preparing for the pilgrimage to Amaradari. Oh, got that wrong again. Let's one more take. Amaradari. Wow, that was even worse. Amaradri. The Mountain of Light, a young guard tells you, stamping yet another merchant's application. It always turns into a bit of a festival. Everyone wants permission to go, and so they come to harangue us when the sun priests turn them away. Is it a religious pilgrimage? Well, a bit, she makes a face. Every merchant in the city suddenly becomes very devoted to Muhir when pilgrimage season comes anyway. When you have completed certain stories in the city, the pilgrimage will begin, opening new opportunities. The 5th tower bell has sounded. It is evening. We've gained a distant shore's memory and a fragment. But it is evening, so we have to return to the inn. At evening, after the 5th bell, each Tamas is assigned a room at the inn. The light is endless and merciless. Will you sleep? All visitors to Varchas are given one night's accommodation in the city's only inn. It is a handsome stone mansion arranged around a pleasantly cool courtyard. Frescoes of city life are painted on the walls. Given how few visitors Varchas hosts, you suspect the inn is usually used by philandering locals. Evening falls, or does it? The town's 5 principal mirrors are mounted on coiled spring mechanisms and alter their angles subtly to create an impression of evening. Across the city, the firekeepers throw pinches of coloured powder into the lamps, and the quality of light yellows to a softer brightness. So we can go down to the kitchens, or the courtyard, or sleep, or don't sleep. Well, kitchen's a very modest chance, at 76%. The smell of cooking mingled with the fungus rot, but you aren't going to let that put you off your food. The inn's cook makes thick spiced stews of fungus flowers and lotus root, eaten with chunks of boiled cassava and rice imported from inland. But it is the light-hungry fruit grown in the city which makes your mouth water. Tart scented oranges and bruised yellow bananas, pineapples bursting with juice, tender coconuts with the silky white flesh scooped out and sap sweet on the tongue. Do you not eat meat? You ask in wonderment, and the inn's cook calls to Muhir for strength. It is forbidden to eat the flesh of living creatures, he says. Lucky the Varchisi don't fancy the seafaring life. So we succeeded in a heart challenge, and it is night. Time to sleep. The bed is low and wide and draped with cotton sheets stamped in vegetable dye patterns in muted greens and blues. You fall into sleep easily despite the bright light, but your dreams are full of whispering, glittering smokes, mirror vapours that coil into reflection-warping shapes. You see your limbs bend, your skin slough, your eyes twist. You wake with your heart pounding, your nostrils are full of the fungal rot smell of Varchas. Your body is as it always was, but somehow that is not as comforting as it should be. So we have a menace, the dream of smoke. A watchful hissing vapour haunts you. We've gained 10 terror, and our permitted time in Varchas is over. Time to go. Dawn in Varchas. Outside the time in Varchas is strictly rationed. Each morning at dawn, the guard visits the inn to eject any tamas they find. They are polite, but very definite. Return, the guard tells you, but not yet. With that, they usher you into the darkness beyond the walls. You blink mirror dazzles from your eyes. It's cold out there. And that was the city of Varchas, or the beginning of the city of Varchas. As you saw from the menus, a lot of options, a lot of things we can't do. So we will already be returning to Varchas when we can. But for now, we will continue our journey east. I'm going to have a drink now, because that was a lot of reading. Oh no. They're big boy bats. Leave us alone, lads. Please leave us alone. What did we ever do to you? Alright, so as much as I'd like to continue travelling east, kinda gotta start heading north now, though. Gonna wait until those motherfuckers behind us leave us alone, because oh, we are in tricky territory, ladies and gentlemen. Remember how I said the further east you get, the more dangerous the map gets? Well, that also applies to the south. So if you combine south and east, oh, light off, and we're gonna burn hard, because we are getting fucked up by that glorious dreadnought. Yeah, that's a thing. Mate, just leave us alone. I don't want no beef with you. I got no beef in this. Like we planned, I will start heading north now. The King Eater's Castle. Do we pop into the King Eater's Castle? Yeah, let's pop into the King Eater's Castle. What could go wrong? Pennington. Echoes stalk you through the colonnades. An old veracity lives here in the far reaches of the sea. The priests are long gone, but sacrifices are still made. Perhaps you have come here to make a sacrifice. Perhaps the sacrifice is you. So we can find the sixth witness. A woman in rags stands on the battlement, staring to the east. Startled by your approach. I am sorry. I didn't expect anyone else to be here. Sit with me. No, do not look east. I only dare because I know I will see nothing like the five before me. It is my first time at Z. We do not get out much, but you must have travelled far to end up here. Tell me your stories. You barely begin before she interrupts. How about the Gant pole? They say there they see the future. If you go, could you ask what the seventh will witness? I happily give my life to prepare the ground, but to know would be the greatest of honours. So she's told me about a place called the Gant pole. She's asked me to visit the Gant Pole. So I guess the Gant Pole is going on our list. Gant Pole. Sixth witness. We will see what other options they have in the King Eater's Castle. We can lose our mind. Do not do this. So we need less terror for that one. We can eat our crew. Do not do this. This will destroy your crew and any human or near human officers. The struggle will wound or even kill you. Offer your stories. All of them. Still don't have a Z story though. Or we can compile a port report. Silence. Desolation. The sense of an impending and terrible mistake. Everything is horrible. It's not really an appropriate title for a formal report, is it? Let's find something a little more clinical. And that's everything for the King Eater's Castle right now. But as you can see, there are some options there. The option to eat your crew, which requires triple our current iron, is a hell of a thing. But we will head north as fast and as far as we can go in the hopes that we find one of the locations that allows us to turn this into a submarine. Although I imagine that will require us to go back to the Carnelian coast, so we probably won't get it on this playthrough, but we will keep our eyes open and our dicks hard. And oh, he's a boy. He's a big boy. So you see me? I think he might have seen me. Oh, there we go. We are cooking on gas, as the kids would say. And that's the back of the Chelone. So that's good. Do we stop in at the Chelone? We can have a quick visit to the Chelone. But then we need to... Yeah, no, the Chelone works for a visit. Port. Waves lap the slabby sides of a vast turtle shell, bigger than any cathedral. Chelonates loaf on wooden docks around the shell sides, staring sullenly. Lamps hang like decorations in a festive butcher's window. All around you, the sea is rank with the scraps of ancient flesh. So we can... Tales for the bone. Someone is crying unusual wares. Follow the sound. Which we can't do because we do not have a hunting trophy or a Z story. But we can make a port report. No matter what details you try and record, the stench creeps in around the edges of the sentences. The Chelonates, watchful despite the reek. Movement along the miasmic scraps of long abandoned monster carcass. Frequent duels where the stink is thickest. And we have an opportunity from a redolent flesh merchant. Even the Chelonates' hardy folk keep their distance. An opportunity for the flesh, he slivers, drool pouring from him between his rotten teeth. The Gant Pole, where the beasties die. bring flesh. We sell it to the turtle eaters. Fresher meats. Big monies to make us. The Gant Pole is said to be deep underwater, mostly by sailors who do not truly believe it exists. The redolent flesh merchant has requested meat from the Gant Pole. Well, we can't go there yet because we don't have a submarine, but if we look on the map, I wonder where it could be. As for now, we're going to be heading that way because it's time to explore the inky blackness, I guess. Giant rib cage. And that's the edge of the nativity. I'm not gonna fuck with them. Because they are spiders. I hate spiders. Fun fact, kids. I hate spiders. Discovered the utter shroom. The queenly core of this spore-haunted sea. Climb its fungal fibre ladders to its summit. Shaggy, suspicious villagers scratch a living here, amidst endless spores of clouds. Wow, am I having a stroke? Amid endless clouds of spores and scurrying mobs of plant-animal hybrids. None of them ever leave. Monsters, one explains darkly. Sea full of monsters. So we can gather a portal. What happens here on top of a mushroom the size of Marlborough? The villagers live a shabby but sufficient life. The utter shroom provides. They are secretive, taciturn, incurious. Ships rarely visit. A gaggle of blemigans, purple tentacled fungus things, follows you down the rope to your ship, whistling cheerfully. Blemigans are vicious little monsters usually, but the ones on the utter shroom seem friendly. If they trouble you, you could probably throw them overboard. So we've got ourselves some blemigans. It has claws, it has a fierce double beak, but just now it seems disinclined to use them. Well, hello. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your screen name, Papal Sinner, but I'm doing alright. Thank you. Nice to have someone watching. Visit the village. Hospitable? Not exactly. But they usually don't chase you off with sticks, and they usually let you sit beside their mildew-smelling fire. A Day of Spores. The utter shroom releases spores according to its own inscrutable schedule. Today the air is soupy thick. They coat your hair. They clog your throat. They gather like sheep in the corners of your eyes. Conversation with the shroomers is impossibly hard. You return to the ship where you find a tiny purple mushroom growing already in your ear. It's got us a tale of terror and a little bit of terror. Nothing to buy here, so we will be moving on from the utter shroom north. But no, it's a pleasure to have you in the chat. Hello. I am hoping I find either Station 3 or Khan Shadow. Oh, well, I'll be diddly damned. It's Polythreme, which is somewhere I've been needing to go since the first stream. Yeah. Polythreme, here is screaming. Taciturn claymen. Evasive closed colonies, walking like humans, cobbles that groan underfoot. On the hills above, a palace villa of marble. But even that writhes like buried bones in an earthquake. Ask about the House of the Keel for the unsettled salvager. The ancient captain in Venderblight said this would advance her search for Lady Black. When flesh carved stone. The claymen profess ignorance. The benches wail too much to be sensible. But there is an ancient, long-winded harbour wall that remembers. The House of the Keel made exiles of themselves, it says in deep crotchety tones. They boarded their ships and took to the sea. Then, far from land, they took their axes, their ships, sank them, and then followed them. Man, woman, child, into the depths. In abysses they built their fathomless churches, and presumed their worship of Lady Black, spirit of the deeps. The unsettled salvager holds your arm for support as you walk back to your ship. I need to dive again, she whispers. Grant me a suit. Please, Captain. You do have one in your possession. You could allow it next time you set sail. She knows what she must do. We can gather some intelligence from Polythreme. What news from Polythreme? The king with 100 hearts rules from his palace above the city. He is never seen. He makes no treaties with other lands, but there's unrest in the air. The claymen you speak to are obedient and humble, but they speak nervously of those that are not. The maimed, the rebellious, the unfinished. You have a port report for Polythreme. We can do some shore leave, but as it's telling us, that's an expensive way of reducing terror. What terror are we up to? We're up to 30, so we can live with 30 terror. 30 terror is not too bad. Start getting above 50 or so, then I'm going to start worrying. But for now, it's cool. But we do have the Admiralty. The Admiral sent us here in London. So we will meet the contact colony. Your contact waits at the Whistling Eye, a massed bundle of grimy satin. The light here is poor, but it seems to have more gloves than it should. A muttered plea. Please, wheezes a voice from within the mounds of clothing. Take it. I need to pay my debt. It seems that the clothes, mostly gloves, you see, are more wearing than being worn. The pale and sweating fellow within is a prisoner of his wardrobe. Take the report, though your fingers may shrink from the touch of the living cloth that binds him. Return it to London, and perhaps you'll help him pay what debt he owes. So that gets us some strategic information, another tale of terror, and a little bit more terror. Up to 31, but still not too bad. We can carry Clayman to London, or we can put a Blemmigan ashore, because we got some Blemmigans from the Uttershroom. So let's see what a Blemmigan does. Who knows what the living furniture will make of it. The last you see of your violet murder fungus, it seems to be flirting with a fanged water pump. Strange bedfellows. We have lost one docile Blemmigan. We now have one Blemmigan's abroad propagation. And we have now one propagation of polythreme. And we're going to take the Claymen, so carry Claymen to London. Are they passengers or cargo? They're certainly the easiest passengers imaginable, just unless, one turns out to be an unfinished man. They troop aboard. Each one lies down in its appointed position next to the other, nestled snugly, head by foot. We are for London, one explains to you. And we now have 6 Claymen marked for London. Is there a shop? Well, yes there is. We can only sell here, apart from We Are Clay. This trio of clay stokers will reduce crew requirements, but also crew capacity, and will slightly increase engine power. They are fitted to an auxiliary slot. When they are not in use, they will stand patiently, hands by their sides, flat grey eyes unreadable. One will say sometimes, "I like it when it is quiet." Mood. Not got enough for them at the moment, but I would like to get some claymen for my ship. But for now, we've got our Claymen and we've got our Admiralty's information. So that is polythreme off the list as well. We've done pretty much everything we set out to do today, other than Station 3 or Khan's Shadow, and we're heading up to Irem with our beans. So fingers crossed we can find Khan's Shadow. See, the Sea of Lilies is there, which implies oh shit, almost forgot we've got the adventuress for the Empire of Hand, so we'll drop her off quick because I want to get that hoe off my ship. I'm not enjoying that big boy ship to the bottom though. Coming at the wrong angle for the Empire Hands will be good. I think we're all clear. And this is just going to be a short visit because I have no patience for the Empire of Hands tonight, I'm not going to lie. Those bloody monkeys. That's not a slur, they're actual monkeys. Are more trouble than they're worth. A delightful welcome. The delightful adventuress leans over the rail of the ship, sniffing the humid air with evident distaste. What a filthy, damp little place. Ah well, we shall endure. At the sight of the mare hobbling up, she straightens. A thin, insincere smile spreads across her face. Ah, you there. My good primitive, she calls, striding down the ramp and clasping his arm tight. Now then, I come in search of your first Emperor's vault, and for that I shall be needing a few things. Some of your finest workers, and tools, and some food. Do you understand me? She shakes her head, barely waiting for a response. Food, she repeats. Comprenas? Oh dear. I see we shall be here for a while. Listen, I hear you fellows rather like souls. Shall we discuss that like higher primates? Barnabas stays to settle up while his mistress negotiates the value of her soul with the mayor. A man with no face. Barnabas removes his mask with what looks to be a silent moment of great relief. Underneath is nothing. Just a flat surface where his face should have been. Ah, an unfinished clay man. One of those flawed products of polythreme that follow their own rules. If only you'd known that before he boarded. Of course, that's why the adventuress has never mentioned it. He silently presents you with your agreed fee, dips his head in polite bow, and lumbers back to his mistress. It appears she has struck a deal with the mayor. So the delightful adventuress will establish a base camp on Fountainhead Island. She welcomes your assistance as one who has proven to be not entirely useless. That's got us 200 echoes, and we've got shot of the lady, which is good. So I'm happy with that. We'll head on out, and we'll keep on heading up to Irem. I was hoping for a carnate, but we're not seeing shit, which is a shame. Sea Lilies, Ragged Crow, Abbey Rock, Visage. I'm trying to think where it could. It must be in between the Arch Room and Abbey Rock. It must be. Oh, he's a big boy. I'm after no trouble, mate. Just no trouble. There'll be no trouble here. Turn our light off to save a bit of fuel, because we're down to what, 4? I don't like the look of that. But we can stop off at Mount Palmerston. That'll get some cheap fuel, and then we should be able to burn for London without too much issue. Irim. None have ever spoken truthfully of this place. So we can compile a port report. We can put a Blemmigan ashore. It will spin down the gangplank a little cautiously. 2 riddle fishers will stare aghast as it whirls into the shadows, raising a cloud of rose petals as it goes. The year of the Blemmigan, the younger will say. I was afraid this might happen. He takes the older's arm, and they hurry off to confer with their fellows. The Witheran will laugh themselves sick, the older groans. So we've lost another Blemmigan, and now we've got Propagation Iram 1 and Propagation General 2. But what we're here for is the House of the Amber Sky, which we can buy our way in with a sack of dark drop coffee beans. Rest, traveller, our waters are warm, our cushions are petal soft. Lay your head here, you will be healed, or better yet, you will be renewed. The House of the Amber Sky is a roofless space between the false stars of the Neath, rich with the scent of Irim roses. Despite the ice, it's warm as a desert's evening. You will arrange yourself on the cushions, close your eyes for just a moment. Beneath the skin of dreams, behind the faces of mirrors, an orange sun sails in a fervid sky. Here are the borderlands of that place. Close by Irim, and closest still to the House of the Amber Sky. And here you are, in another place. The sun is warm on your uncovered head. So we've got a bunch of options here. Most of them we can't do. So we're going to have to stick with rest, recover, and dream. As for the other ones, I need a wound and a sea story. I need a searing enigma, or a lot of stuff. Pardon me. But for now, we are going to rest, recover, and dream. The jungle around you is rich with violently coloured fruit, buzzing with insects and unseen life. There's the sound of running water, too. Follow it. To the river. The water runs deep, sweet and wild. Impassive fish of unguessable age watch you from clear depths. You drink from cupped hands, and your weariness falls from you. Monkeys shriek hilariously. A leopard watches from the undergrowth, but makes no move to attack. Afterwards, you pluck the flax that grows here. When you awake later, you will find it already woven. So that's lost us 10 terror. Takes us back down to 29. We are not hungry anymore. We've got a bale of parabola linen. And that's all for now. And that's all we can do with Irim. We'll have to bring more beans and did I see these stories for sale, but for 2 terrors? What do you think? What do you think, gang? What do you think? I think we've been needing Z stories basically all stream tonight, so I'm gonna get a Z story just in case we need one. But that's pretty much all I can get from here right now. So we are going to head out of Irim and over to Port Palmerston to get some cheap fuel before we run out. And then we'll start making our way back to London, I guess. But for now, we can cross off Irim off our list. So that just leaves the submarine stuff and the Gamp pole as our primary mission objectives. Again, we're probably not going to find either of them tonight. So that leaves us with something to do next week. For now, I'm going to start thinking about heading back to London because it has been a trip. We have gone basically all around the map, short of the East Coast. Can get a quick port report. There was a revolution in hell, and the aristocracy of devils fled here. Here they plot an exile. They don't do us any harm. They stay up there, and we stay down there. If hell's fighting itself, that's good for us all, isn't it? That gets us a port report. We could put a Blemigan ashore. Surely it'll flourish here. The Blemigan bounces happily up the pumice slopes, warbling as it goes. That warbling is answered as it climbs higher. There are already Blemigans here, somewhere. So we lost the Blemigan, and we didn't really get anything from that, so that was a bit of a waste of a Blemigan, if you ask me. But we're going to buy some cheap fuel. Take us up to 15, please. I think we need a Zoop. I could be wrong, but I think we need a Zoop. So I'm going to get a Zoop. And a supplies. And we're going to start making our way downtown. We'll cut through that big black patch between us and the salt lines. And with a bit of luck, we'll make enough room to pick up... Don't have enough money. Okay. Shame. I was thinking quick salt lines run on the way back, but no. That's not going to work. Where's Abbey? Abbey Rock's quite a way down, isn't it? Yeah. Shame. About to start hitting uncharted territory. Oh, is that anything? No, that's just more of the Sea of Roses. Nuncio, okay. I guess we were pulling into Nuncio on the way back. Okay. That seemed fairly fitting, since I mistakenly thought we went there last week, but no. Nuncio, do not return, sender. Word of the week is taciturn. Taciturn functionaries walk the docks in the uniforms of postmen. An enormous crowned statue casts a chilling shadow. The shadows gleam with rats' eyes. Their ceaseless chittering rolls like the tide. So we can go to the Postman's Tavern. The Inky Blotter, it's called. The sign doesn't look like much. Warmer inside than it looks. Faces turn in your direction, but no one seems surprised to have a new arrival on the island. Lit by two roaring fires, one at either end of the room, the bartender is in Postman's uniform, like almost all the patrons. A noseless postal in spectacled Blunt Thomas delivers the drinks, clears tables, stacks the firewoods. We can listen in on postal tall tales. Fishermen brag about fish that got away. Postmen brag about hard deliveries. Amazing what you get for a penny stamp. Delicate bottles... Words. Delicate bottles lowered down chimneys on a rope. Do not fold under any circumstance letters curled through a narrow slot. Rattling, groaning crates brought back to the same address every day for 22 days running. The windows they pried open, the servants they bribed, the delivery surcharges they paid out of their own salaries just to get rid of one more packet. It is hard to tell which they hate more, the senders of mail or its recipients. Stands to reason if a message was a welcome one, they'd tell the other fellow in person, reflects the hairless postwoman. Ask why the local currency consists of rats. 2 strings of rats for a pint of ale, 3 strings for a wine, 5 for a tolerable brandy under the bar. Scarcity is not an issue. The hairless postwoman at the end of the bar smiles mirthlessly, or maybe it's just the lack of eyebrows that does it. Long enough carrying the things around, you get into the habit, she says. Then she tells you that if you stay late enough, you'll see some of the postmen making a procession to the centre of the island, stringing up rats around the statue like Yuletide decorations, in prayer to an ancient deity of this place. From the coughing and choking elsewhere in this pub, you'd guess this is a story they often tell to newcomers. We've gained a cultivating friendships with postmen. I am now a newcomer. Ask the hairless postwoman why she is hairless. Legacy of some interestingly explosive package, maybe? No, she says. Curt, not pleased you asked. Still had eyebrows when I come to Nuncio. The postman at the next bench diverts you, speaks in a low voice. Lots of people find habits when they can't deliver the post anymore. This one has a plucking habit. Best learn not to notice. You glance up. The hairless postwoman is still staring at you. So I'm down to 1, a newcomer again. Ask about the big statue in the centre of the island. If there were to be a guidebook for visitors, it would have to be the first entry. The monumental postman? Oh, that? It's all of us, isn't it? Sort of the spirit of the island. Most of them don't seem troubled for more than an explanation than that. Though the hairless postwoman tells you it didn't always look like a fallen London postman at all, that it used to have a different face and a more old-fashioned outfit. And I'm back up to 2. I'm back to a newcomer. Ask how they occupy themselves all day. There must be more than this. Dead letter office. Big building, centre of town. Hard to miss. You can work there too if you want. It's not clear whether this is a generous offer or a threat. So I've got an offer to work as a postman in the dead letter office. So, see what that's about. Assemble a port report. Most of the inhabitants were Londoners once, but that doesn't mean they are now. Uniform behaviour. Cataloguing all the peculiarities of the place takes many pages. The tailor who imports gilt buttons and braid just to be able to keep everyone's uniform in condition. The fashion of wearing a postbag with nothing inside. Wearing it open, wearing it upside down, torn apart, or as a hat. Wearing it in any way that will show that it doesn't have letters in it. Then there are sitting rooms papered in cancelled stamps, the bergamot pomegranate curd on toast, the commerce in rat corpses, the hatred of cats, the absolute custom against ever issuing a paper invitation for any event, no matter how formal. It's the familiarity, the not quite Londonness of this place that makes it all so odd. But we can try a shift at the dead letter office. There is a sign of a cancelled stamp over the door. Blunt Thomas takes you around the office, the small collection room where those retrieving letters may state their business. A much larger set of back offices where newly arrived letters and parcels are collected and sorted. A dank, briny smell that never goes away, presumably because so many of the parcels spent time in the water before they arrived here. In the back room is a machine ratted by a postal rat, a Rattus fabia in pinstriped hat. It shovels sludge-damp letters into the machine's hopper, and they come out dried, cleaned, pressed, and sorted into slots by size and quality of paper. One has various possible occupations here. None could be described as fast-paced. So we can converse with the rat. How did you get into this line of work? The postal rat has a pair of spectacles on and is re-lettering the front of a water-damaged envelope, working over the original letters with a tiny brush and ink pot. The repairs are likely to take most of this afternoon. I like to think of myself as being in the resurrection business, he says, stopping to look at you seriously for a minute. Where circumstances permit, taking the dead letters and making them alive again. Doesn't often work, but when it does, a miracle. And we're up to accepted by the locals. We can converse with the postal rat. Perhaps he'll have some insights on the inhabitants of this island. Do you like having sticky hands? Asked the postal rat. Most people, they have sticky hands. They can't wait to clean them. Yes? For a postman, an undeliverable parcel is sticky hands. Bothers you until it's fixed. The longer you serve in the post office, the worse it feels. Delivering a letter correctly is good, so not delivering it is bad. The unclean feeling gets too strong, and they come here. We can offer the rat's niece a job. He asks it as a favour, and she sounds well trained and eager. The postal rat is grateful and says so at length in a variety of ways. Only so much work to go around on Nuncio. She keeps asking to assist me here, but as you can see, a gesture at heaps of loose gears and unhooked chains, I hardly require any assistance, and my research is at so delicate a stage. But she's an excellent worker, very bright, like her mother. We now have a Rattus Fabia assistant. We are trusted in Nuncio. And there was one more option. Ask the postal rat for a key to the basements. There are doors in the dead letter office that you've never seen opened. Surely you can be trusted. He's surprised by the request. Most postmen don't like it down there. No one ever asks for a key, but he'll cut you a new one. Just be careful in there, and come out if you start to feel wrong. So we can open up the back rooms. The key is warm in your pocket. Deep and deeper. You had expected a few shelves of supplies, more files of letters, a few years older. No, it is a pit, so deep that lantern light does not show the bottom. A spiral walkway descends along its wall, and the spiral opens wider as it goes, as if you were looking through the narrow edge of a very large shell. Lining this wall are shelves and nooks, unevenly sized. Some are a few inches square and contain single scrolls of papyrus. Others support crates bigger than coffins. They are made of a woody fungus, grown to meet requirements. There are no marks of carpentry or any of the postal rat's handiwork. 3 turns down the spiral, and you feel you can't breathe. Time to leave. You can come back later, maybe. So that's gained us some more terror, and we've started to explore the basement. But we can talk to the rat about it. They say that's been there since before we came, before there were Londoners in the Neath, before there was a dead letter office. There was someone else, and they built the last layer on top of what was there before, and so on. When you press him a little further, he says, I've been down there. Didn't like it much, but I wanted to test my machine. I thought it could handle some of the very old dead letters. That would be a good sign, you know. Evidence the machine was in working order, good strong sorting categories and so forth. He pauses. There's letters down there that set your hair on fire if you so much as look at them. See the bold patches on my left leg? That wasn't a machine accident. Oh no. That singed right off as soon as I put my nose onto one of them letters. We've gained a tale of terror and a extraordinary implication. So we could try to study it, but we can't because we need something awaiting us. We can't descend into the basement with flame because we do not have a flame. We need 5 candles and a flare. But we can end our shift and explore along the beach. We can take soundings. Perhaps there is some evidence of the great hollowness beneath those shores. Striking the ground causes the stones to shift and rattle. It is hard at first to hear anything more than that. But if you try long enough and strike hard enough, the whole beach shivers like the surface of a drum. The flotsam letters quiver and align themselves in concentric circles around the point of impact. The next wave brings ashore 3 or 4 times the usual freight. And we can seed some blemigans amongst the rocks. Perhaps they will find the environment appealing. The seed propagates alarmingly fast here. Within a few minutes, there are blemigans scrambling in between bits of shale and over the faces of the scattered correspondence on the shore. They digest stamps, addresses, sealing wax. Where their tentacles pass over an envelope, they leave behind new replacement directions, deliverable directions, but who knows whether the new addresses are better than the old blurred ones. We have 1 blemigan lost. That takes us down to 0. We have propagated Nuncio with blemigans. We have a count of 3 when it comes to the blemigan propagation, and we now have deliverable post. So we can go back to the docks. Let's see if the rat will say, feed your deliverable letters into the sorting machine. Wouldn't it be interesting to see how the machine handled it? Badly. The letters go in the hopper, but then there is a horrible churning and a loud thunk, and the whole thing comes to a halt. A single letter, mangled out of recognition, protrudes from the output slot. The postal rat is tearing at his fur. Wax brain, clay skull, what have you done? There's a great deal more commentary on your wits and parentage during the long hours of repair. The letters themselves are so damaged that they cannot be read anymore. Dead again, in short. So we lost the deliverable post, and it went back to dead post. So we're going to try feeding our undeliverable letters into the sorting machine and see what happens, because it didn't like deliverable ones. 52 categories. After prolonged whirring, the machine begins to distribute 7 invitations, edged and gilt, into the correspondence of the aristocracy slot. 2 oversized parcels, probably containing books, into the books tray. 1 stamped bronze tablet that drops with a clang into a bin marked First City. The postal rat watches this all with an air of satisfaction. So he enjoyed that, and we'll have one little conversation with the rat, and then we'll move on. Why doesn't it make a machine like this back in London? Might lead to fewer dead letters in the first place. Regulations. Oh no, that wouldn't be permitted at all. There are strict rules about the initial handling and sorting of post, An experimental machine might mangle the letters. It's only the dead material that is unimportant enough to be entrusted to a Rattus Fabia. His voice isn't bitter, but he twists a coil so hard that it springs sideways out of the machine and pings off your shoe. So, that's why they don't do it. But with that, I think we are done with Nuncio. Don't think there's a shop. Oh, there is a shop here. They sell fuel for 20 and supplies for 30. We should be fine because, again, we're trying to make that run back to London now. So we're just going to go through this big black patch of fog of war. I hope this pinnace doesn't see us or whatever the hell it is. A barge, rat barge. Got nothing against rats. Some of my best friends are rats. I've been called a rat before, but I'm just not interested in fighting a rat barge right now. Still disappointed we haven't found Khan's Shadow, but what can you do? This sea seems to have a fat load of nothing in it. Oh no. Taking up those bats nice and quick. We'll gather up their corpses for some supplies because we are starting to run a bit low. That's the edge of Gator's Morn, yep. Far off, very far off, someone screams. Oh, nothing in this ocean. Oh, that's a shark. That's a shark. Given that we are down to 31 hull, I don't want to be messing with no shark. Oh, how did he do that? Did some sort of sonic ray. And of course there's a crab on the other side. God damn it. Gonna have to go around this boy. Hope for the best. If I can get any supplies at Pigmo Isle, because if not, kind of fucked. Pigmo Isle, two houses, both like in dignity. Hail Morinia, the Neef's most adorable nation, scurries around your legs. Scintillac harvesters drag heavy bags of the island's bounty to their silos. Industrious rodents work hard on towering edifices, some of them almost neck high. London will never believe a bloody word of this. Pilot report? Captain Whiskers, the Admiralty calls you, or so you've heard. At least they pay to laugh at your report. Help Morania solve a dilemma. An aide runs over. Hairless advisor, you return to us. Praise the tide. We need your wisdom once again. A dilemma on Pigmo Isle. A chill hangs over the chicken woods. The trees creak in their still air. The aide shivers. Do you feel it, hairless advisor? They say a monster lives out here, where even our light cannot reach. Our farmers refuse to tend their mushrooms until they can be sure of reaching them in safety, but we can find no trace of this beast. What can we do? So we could burn the forest down, or we could declare their fears superstition. The best weapon against irrational fear is a good distraction. A party, perhaps. The celebration takes the rodents' minds off the shadowy threat. By the warmth of a good fire, the vague unknown is no longer something to squeak at or twitch their whiskers over. It may be more bravado than actual courage, but it's the kind that lasts even after the fire has burned down to charcoal. So we succeeded. And we have resolved their dilemma, for better or worse. We've made their spirit a bit better, and we've gained 50 fragments. So that's good. No shop here though. That's bad. I'm going to make a gamble. I'm going to go for this big black patch. Because I think the Khan's shadow might be there. And if it's not, we're in trouble. But I'd rather be in trouble. Oh yeah, boy. Khan's glory. So this would be the Khanate, who you have heard mention of before. They are the fourth city that fell. Their thing is horses, and I wonder if you can guess where they're from by their name and their horse liking. Answers on a postcard, please. Don't like that warp trimaran, that is just kind of fucking about there though. Turn my light off. Come on, you didn't see nothing. You didn't see nothing. You didn't see nothing. You were just chilling. But wherever there is the Khanate, there is the shadow of the Khanate, or as some would say, Khan's shadow. And that is what we have been looking for since we left Port Carnelian 2 hours ago. So I'm glad to report that we might finish most of the submarine quest tonight. That's what I was hoping for. Welcome to Khan's Shadow, the city that swam. Long ago, the Khanate turned its back on its warrior traditions. It has no place for pirates and would-be nomads, so here, in the shadow, the exiles make their home, amid 100 wrecked, grounded, decommissioned ships. So we can plunder the decommissioned remains of the Stone Turtle, an old research vessel chained and boarded up at the Shadow's rim. If the Carnate's sonar schematics survived, perhaps they are on board. You climb aboard. Your bosun applies bolt cutters to a chain, securing entry. Slipping inside, you close the door, muting the clamour of the shadow, and light lamps. The hull is well preserved. Down in the hold are orderly piles of crates, boxes and cabinets. Eventually you uncover a detailed set of schematics that, despite the complexities of Carnate script, look like what you need. You cram them into your jacket. You have discovered fingerprints in the dust and suspicious gaps in the runs of certain records. Has someone been here recently? Perhaps the Carnate hasn't abandoned submarine research quite as absolutely as they claim. So they want us to return to Port Carnadian to finish the submarine. So we are done. Port Carnadian. Which is good. I was hoping to get that this stream, but wasn't expecting it at this point. We can not do that because we do not have a. We can compile a port report. So many malcontents, so little time. Conniving, debauching, speechifying, drinking, singing, speeching, poeting, now and then the occasional duel, very occasionally a savage ritual murder. And that gets us a port report. Whilst we're here, we can buy 2 supplies. That should get us back to London. Alright. With that, we will start heading straight back up to London. I don't have enough for a Salt Lions run, unfortunately. And I'm going to save the Carnate for next week's stream. So, something to tease you with there. What is the Carnate's deal? They're the kind of big rivals to London. They are the big other civilization, if you will. Find out next week. Next Friday. Tune in and we will explore the Carnate. We will see what missions they've got, what quests they've got, what interesting little things to do they have at the Carnate. But for now... Oh, and would you look at that, we discovered Station 3 as well. It's a bit late, we don't need to do it now because we just picked up the parts from Khan's Shadow, but we're popping to Station 3. See what the deal is with Station 3 and Depot A. We may infer a Station 1 and a Station 2. We may conjecture a Station 4. Machinery hums behind high steel walls. Up the hill there are visible outlines of warehouses and a building with a spire, but the lamps are low where they burn it all, and your ship is the only one in a harbour. So we can train our telescope on shore and get ourselves a port report. Church? Or something else. You stand on the high point of your ship and look to shore. There is a steepled building on the horizon, by far the largest thing in sight. No cross marks the top of it, nor any other symbol you recognize. That gets us a... port report. We can search for other signs of visitors at 68% chance. It never hurts to know what you're up against. Ironmonger's tools. Stacked near the stairs is a pile of worn out tools, tongs whose hinges have given away, a hammer whose head is coming loose from its haft, an anvil whose surface is mazed with deep cracks. So we succeeded in a mirrors challenge, we got some more fragments. And that's all for now. Now we can try the gate because we have a long copper box, but I'm actually saving that to use with my engineer. So we will make a note that Station 3 requires a long copper box. Station 3. Right, no, I don't have a long copper box. I've got a mirror catch box actually, so we'll try the gate. The only way past the walls is an unimposing but sturdy looking gate of triple barreled silvery metal. A sign beside it reads, "Deliveries." No way in. The metal is steel hard and icy cold to the touch. Attempts with chisels and crowbars fail. Perhaps if you could bring the ship's guns to bear, but no. If you return with a certain delivery, the gate will be open. You'll know if you'll find it. And there's nothing else at Station 3. So we're going to move on. And now, genuinely, honestly, I swear to God, we're heading back to London now. Alright? No fucking about now. I say no fucking about. Is a crab there. I kind of want to fuck up that crab stay, but no, we're heading on. Like I say, saving the carnate for next week. We'll get the submarine. We'll explore the carnate. We've got plans. Big plans. But for now we're getting back to London and we're getting paid for all our port reports, for the Admiralty's information, for the unstamped souls. I'm trying to think of anything else, but no, I think that's everything. Should just be a, well, I say straight, but kind of diagonal run to London now. Again, kind of get. I don't have enough money for some Sphinx stone, but Miss School was there. Miss School was there. Here we go, we're getting back to London now. Just gotta watch out for that big boy crab. As you can see, my terror's up to about half full. Come on, mate, turn away, 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 turn away. There we go. Rowena. Here we are, coming back into old London town. The revenue men. Her Enduring Majesty's Customs Service works closely with both Ministry of Public Decency and the Masters of the Bazaar. Today they have selected you for an inspection. Don't cheat them. So I declare all controlled goods, but I ain't got enough money for that. Oof. I'm gonna have to take the tough challenge. Fucking A. The freest of trades. They tramp up and down your freshly mopped stairwells in their nasty boots. They poke and pry and prod, but they find nothing. Yes, we passed that Veils challenge. A breath of relief. As soon as the gangplank touches the quayside, the terrors of the deep sea lighten. Walk taller, smile more readily, but what dreams may cling. So that's taken my terror down to 50. That's good. But as it says, however, if your terror was high, you may suffer nightmares later. So returning to London, I can collect messages from the Harbour Master. Something has changed underneath. Someone wants to sign on. The blind bruiser attends to business on the dock. I have another 3 evening and the Rose Market bustles. Welcome home. I may ask how it is I am here to meet you, and I may remark that we have eyes in the wastes and eyes in the hill. In fact, we have more eyes than a not oracle, and they're all glad to see you. And of course, your cargo. Hand over the cargo and claim your payment. Oh, very good, very good. Please accept this small token of my thanks, and please also accept my thanks, and my patron's thanks. Sorry, that voice genuinely is quite tickly to do. Which we being persons of honour, what understands the true nature of dealings, is much more important. Still, spending money is always good, innit? So a captain must eat, and so must a ship, which is why if you look under the pier, that you will find a few helpful contributions of fuel and so forth. So we got paid. Our cargo for the Cheery Man has gone. The unstamped crate of Brilliant Souls. Gained 200 echoes for doing that. 3 fuel and 1 supplies. So we're going to go straight to the Admiral. We're going to pass on our strategic information, which gains us 150 echoes and more Admiralty's favour. We are then going to ask if we're gonna submit our port reports. So we're gonna do Hunter's Keep, 5 echoes, 1 fuel. Mount Palmerston, 40 echoes, 1 fuel. Nuncio, 30 echoes and a fuel. Station 3. Excuse me, let me just call a colleague in. Omitted. This is my colleague, Mr. Villian, of the Ministry of Public Decency. Mr. Villian, this good captain's report is here. If you would care to... Yes, the fire's already lit. Let us... There we go. Now only ashes remain, and it might have caused such a lot of trouble. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your discretion. Here is your payment. You need not trouble yourself further in this affair. So we're going to 100 echoes, 1 fuel. Pigmo Island. 10 echoes and a fuel. The Utter Shroom. You spent time in Mycegelia? Dear me, I'm so terribly sorry. 50 echoes and a fuel. Polythreme. The king with 1,000 hearts. What a useful fellow. Without his exports, I'd be delivering my own coal. We have 50 echoes and another fuel. Port Carnelian. You know, I sometimes wonder whether that place was a good idea. I didn't say that. 30 echoes and a fuel. The Chelonate. The Fathom King's Hold. What's the old monster up to now? Khan Shadow. Oh, these are always fun. Come on, let's hear it. Other officials gather round to hear your tales of bloodshed and debauchery, and the jokes about the Khan that the Shadow produces so efficiently and so entertainingly. The one about the Khan and the donkey produces a roar of patriotic laughter and encourages the deputy recorder to unlock the departmental drinks cabinet. Got 30 echoes for that and a fuel. Lost 5 terror. Gained another Admiralty's favour. Varchas. The mirrored city, eh? Still think we're the barbarians, do they? 30 echo. Fuel. Lovely stuff. Irim. Oh God. Oh God. What tense is it written in? Oh God. Look, just read it to my colleague here. He'll give you your fee. 20 echoes and a fuel. Ah, Despair's fastness. King Eater's Castle. 20 fuel. 10 and a fuel. 20 echo and fuel. And we can ask if there's anything in particular the Admiral would like me to do. So he would like me to go back to Polythreme. What a fucking surprise. And we can actually go back to the docks. We're going to go to the dry dock. We are going to go to the Admiralty yards for 24 echoes to completely repair our hull. We lost 3 favours, but we've earned plenty at this point. And we will go back to London. We will deliver the claymen that we picked up in Polythreme. This is where they wanted to be, or at least where they're supposed to be. One by one they rise uncomplainingly with no trace of stiffness or discomfort from the long voyage. The deck resounds beneath their heavy tread. A shroom yard manager waits on dock, tapping her foot. "About time," she says. "Here's your payment. Come along now. There's a good construct." And that got us a 120 echoes to take us up to 1057. We no longer have any clay men. Good day. I will not cause trouble. So what can we do? A new recruit waits our attention. The genial magician, which we can hire for 50 echoes. He's an engineer. "Good afternoon, Captain. Perhaps I can do your engine some good." "No, I'm quite the engineer. Difficult to credit, isn't it? But here are my references." So we will hire the genial magician. I'll get to work below. Perhaps I should change out of this jacket, of course. We can see if the Venturer wants anything. You wanted 7, Zoop. Fucking hell, mate. You greedy bastard. Alright. But nothing we can do in the Rose Market. The Royal Bethlehem Hotel. A hotel for the insane, where the mad may comfortably reside if and until they return to sense. The unsettled salvager over to the care of the manager. Perhaps not. I'm going to keep hold of her for now. Can I carouse in Woolstack Docks? For 10 echoes. Let's go on the piss. A strange night out. You wake up in the back room of Gaston's lamprey, head pounding. You had something to drink, but beyond that it's a little hazy. Your knuckles are bloody, your blood, you think, and your shirt bloody likewise. Probably not yours, unless your blood is slick and greenish. You've had better nights out. A difficult brew, Gaston says, gnomically. So we lost 3 terror, lost 10 echo. We'll have some recent news, and we've used our free evening. So anything else we can do in our lodgings? Can we do anything in our study? No, we cannot. Is there anything else we can do on our lodgings? We can rest, reduce our terror, heal 2 wounds, give us 2 restful nights. It costs 100 echoes, but I'm willing to do it to get rid of some terror, frankly. So we lost 100 echo, lost 15 terror, and we have 2 restful nights. Take the air in Tyrant's Gardens. Take coffee at Caligula's Coffee House. Take advantage of a sea captain's reputation. You could get used to this. And alright, we'll see what the alarming scholar wants. So we've got a memory of distant shores, a Z story, an outlandish artifact, a searing enigma. We can offer them an extraordinary implication. What a tantalizing crumb. That gives us 250 echoes. It increases our favor. We need 2 more points to reach level 3. Gain 2 fragments. Can we give you some memories of distant shores? Gains 10 echoes. Distant shores, 10 echoes. And distant shores, 10 echoes. I'm going to keep hold of everything else. I'm going to go to the fuel and supply situation. So how many supplies to take us to 250? Leaves us with 957. Do we have anything to sell? We have a bale of parabola linen. I wonder if we can sell that here. Yes, we can for 60. Which leaves us at exactly 1,000 echoes and 17. Can we buy any of these ships, I wonder? So we could avoid the... Oh, the Kilgore is what we've got. Okay. So a Lampad is going to be another 1,000 echoes. A Corvette is going to be another 3,000 echoes. So our goal is to get 3,000 echoes. So 2,000 more echoes. Okay. Well then. I think that is where we are going to leave it for tonight. We've done a big old lap on the map. Went along the southern coast. Found some interesting towns and cities. We got most of the work done for a submarine. We dropped off the shady sort. We went to Polythreme. We got some claymen. We found Khan's Shadow. And we took the coffee beans to Irim. So it looks like next week, we will be hopefully finishing the submarine quest and getting ourselves a submarine so we can explore underwater, as well as exploring the Khanate and seeing what their deal is. Yeah, no, I'm excited. It sounds good. We will also hopefully try and investigate the bottom left-hand corner of the map, the place I wanted to go today, but got distracted. But no, we shall do this next week, next Friday, around about the same time, so 6 or 7 o'clock in England time, GMT, whatever you want to call it. Do tune in. The highlights and previous episodes of this will be up on Twitch for 2 weeks, and then they are also hosted on my YouTube at Mr. Crazy Eyes Dave, all one big word. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, stay sexy, and I shall catch you Sunday is the next stream where we will be doing Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. We have just unlocked our first Battlestar class, the Artemis. and we are starting to make fleets to kick the shit out of the Cylons. So much love and good evening to you all.